I'm Rashad Robinson. I'm the president of Color of Change. I'm here for Culture Closeup to talk with Muta'Ali, the director and creator of Yusuf Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn.
Yusuf Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn is about the murder of a 16-year-old black teenager in August of 1989 in Brooklyn, New York, and honors the life and the family members who lost Yusuf Hawkins. His murder set off a firestorm that included contributions from a young Reverend Al Sharpton, from black culture in general in New York City, from a third-term mayor, Ed Koch, and contributions from our beloved Mayor Dinkins before he was elected mayor. There's a storm that existed before Yusuf was murdered, let alone the storm that was sparked after the incident.
I really appreciate the way you talked about storm because, you know, a lot of times folks talk about these situations in a passive voice. And we'll say things like black communities or black people are vulnerable. When in fact, black people and black communities are not vulnerable, we've been under attack. And if we think about all the things you just laid out, from the politics to the policing structure, to the media culture, to the economics, that creates a climate, a storm of targeting. The story hit me because I lived in a household with black parents who watched the news. I was 10 years old, and I remember very clearly hearing my father talk about the places in Brooklyn that you didn't go at night. Neighborhoods throughout Brooklyn and Queens and Long Island were designed to create segregation. We were seeing firsthand overt and violent racism front and center. An op-ed piece can only do so much. That is why the power of filmmaking is so important. That is why having platforms that can tell these stories is so important.
When we don't have the opportunity to get things off our chest because sometimes our voices are crushed, when you have someone who's willing to speak for you, it is helpful. Being a black person, I think, gives me a sensitivity. It allows me to use the eyes and ears that I have had all my life and use my experience in around people who will force people to hear them.
I imagine the experiences that you were able to draw from helped you as you pull out the pieces that the family was going to provide.
I remember the moment in the edit bay when I realized Miss Hawkins is the heart of this story. It tuned me into an opportunity to do something that I don't really see a lot, to put at the center of a feature film a black woman. She is paired up in many ways with the first love of her life, Moses Stewart. Moses is very outspoken and very aggressive, and Miss Hawkins, I believe, is doing what I think is necessary when you're in the middle of a tragedy like that, is trying to seclude herself, trying to find her own private space to mourn.
So Muta, people are gonna watch Yusuf Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn. What do you hope they take away from it? What do you hope they want to do with the content that they view?
I hope that they remember Yusuf or learn about Yusuf after having watched this film. I hope that they keep in mind that, you know, as we evoke the names of people like Yusuf, people like Eric Garner and other people who have been victims of racism, people like Breonna Taylor, that we remember that their family and their loved ones still exist and still are going through the motions. I do, though, feel like an important takeaway is an understanding that persistent activism is effective. I think it was smart to march directly through Bensonhurst. Reverend Sharpton led marches through Bensonhurst with other community leaders 29 times. From August 89 to January 91. It's also, though, an opportunity to show people again that anytime you think that racism is in the past, you need to rethink it. Because if you were alive in 89 and you were surprised by the behavior of the quote-unquote counter-protesters in Bensonhurst, and today you're surprised at the behavior of quote-unquote counter-protesters, you might need to rethink how you're operating in this world and consider that, no, we're not in a time where racism is less than deadly.